Hey, what's up everybody? ESAM here bringing you another video. This one going to be not a Smash video, not a video game video in general, but it is going to be this Disney Pixar bracket that a lot of people have been circulating, and I wanted to give you guys my opinion on it because I feel like it is very important. It is very ESAM opinion type of thing, and I think that would be very, very funny. So first off, I want to mention this seating blows. I feel like the bottom left corner is like the most stacked corner, and maybe that's just my bias because of the movies, but I feel like the seating is kind of whack, and I'll try to maybe do like a seating later after this video if you guys want a second video about the seating for this. Anyway, let us just get into it. So first round, we have Lion King versus Tarzan. I have to tell you guys, I am a Lion King kid. I watched Lion King so many times when I was younger. Tarzan is an incredible, incredible movie with an amazing soundtrack. However, I feel like Lion King is a bit more substantial and a bit more, you know, like legendary, iconic when it comes to Disney movies. So I am going to have to go with Lion King, and I know MBD is going to be very, very upset at me for that because he definitely prefers Tarzan. So next up, we're going to have Princess, and sorry if I like misdo this kind of stuff. Next up, we have Princess and the Frog and Lilo and Stitch. I actually never saw Princess and the Frog, or if I did, I do not remember it very well. So because of that, I'm just gonna have to go with Lilo because it's the only one I remember. Although I wasn't like a crazy huge fan of Lilo and Stitch, to be honest, and wow, that's like actually terribly put, so I'm gonna redo that one. There we go. Cool. So next up, we're going to have Tangled and the Big Hero 6, and similar to Princess and the Frog, I have not seen Big Hero 6, so I'm going to have to go with Tangled. Even if I did, I'd probably go with Tangled anyway. I really, really like Tangled. It has the best couples love song in all of Disney by like a significant margin. Flynn Rider is an amazing guy in the movies. Like he becomes the prince, I guess, because he marries into it. But like, spoilers, you know, I have a terrible past, and then kind of like sees and helps this other prince. It's just, I love that movie. Tangled was really, really good and has a very underrated soundtrack in my opinion. And speaking of soundtracks, we are going to have a duel of the two more recent really, really good soundtrack Disney movies in Frozen and Moana. And I've talked about this on Twitter. I love Frozen. I love literally every song in that except for like the beginning ice song. Every other song in that movie is absolutely fantastic. The reprise For the First Time in Forever, the actual First Time in Forever, Love is an Open Door is a really, really good song. Let It Go obviously sparked like huge waves in like movies or like music and like little kids in general. It is actually crazy. I don't really care for Elsa, but she's supposed to because that's kind of the point of the story. I love Anna. I love Kristoff. I love what they did with Hans. That actually, I did not expect that like literally at all. So that like threw me for a loop. You know, I like Olaf, I like Sven, just all the characters besides Elsa I kind of really enjoyed, but Moana was so good. Like, the music was better in my opinion than Frozen's. Dude, I love literally every song in Moana, even like the beginning, like my favorite song actually in Moana isn't even like one of the main songs. It's literally the ending where like Moana is walking towards Te Fiti, or I guess, you know, Te Kā. And it's just like the prettiness of the background in terms of what happened at the beginning when the ocean was being nice to her and she's singing over it. Like, I Know Your Name. It's so good. All the music is so good. I feel like it's really relatable. My one problem I had with Moana that made it not my #2 Disney film like ever, in my opinion, was I feel like they could have let the negative emotions fester in the movie, because I feel like there was a lot of like, it was like something bad happened 10 seconds later, hey look, resolution. You know, even like the last sad scene, which would be, you know, Maui leaves, she's like, I can't do this, ocean, take this away, and then she just like cries for like 3 seconds, then her grandma shows up. Like, it wasn't anything like she started like fixing things and like starts crying or anything like that. But again, it's a kid's movie, so I kind of understand. But I do have to give it to Moana. As I said, it prevented it from being a top 3 Disney movie, but it did not prevent it from being somewhere in the top 5 for me, and I guess we'll see that as the bracket continues. Next up, we have Aladdin and Hercules. And listen, Aladdin is a good movie. Aladdin's a very good movie with amazing music, but Hercules my favorite. I mean, spoilers for the rest of the bracket, but Hercules is my favorite Disney movie. It is so good. The music is fantastic. Hades is a wonderful villain. Literally, the only way they could have made this movie better was if Hades had a good song. Like, that's it. The plot was great. You know, the whole point of the thing was great, although I still think he was a hero from like saving the history of everyone, and not just when he saves Meg from dying, but I guess it's because he wasn't scared of dying before, because he's like literally Jesus, because he's actually a god. That's kind of the joke. But I am gonna go with Hercules. I love this movie. It is my favorite movie. Also, I really wish that I Can Go the Distance had 2 verses instead of just 1 chorus. Like, damn, that sucks. Next up, Little Mermaid and Pocahontas. So I think I was a little young when Pocahontas was like really, really big, because I feel like that was more of like my brother's Disney movie, and he's a few years older than me. But Little Mermaid I also didn't really care for, which is funny because Prince Eric, my name is Eric. I really like the music in both soundtracks, but the one that I would have to say is more memorable for me is The Little Mermaid, mostly because I didn't watch Pocahontas all that much. So like it's kind of slightly unfair, but either way, I feel still like, you know, this is like a general thing that a lot of people would kind of like agree with, right? Next up, Mulan and Zootopia. So I love Zootopia. Zootopia is an amazing movie. It was really, they had a lot of twists and turns, and I feel like it was really, really good for generally like the people that are just like, it was really, really good story. But Mulan, I feel like, is a lot stronger. It has obviously one of the best Disney songs, period, with I'll Make a Man Out of You. It has Reflection, which is also an amazing song. The other ones are kind of weak, admittedly, but Zootopia kind of just had the Shakira song, so it's still positive on music. I feel like it's positive on impact. You know, obviously Zootopia has a lot of societal implications, but so does Mulan, just instead of, you know, with women, it's with, you know, minorities type of thing. So I am still gonna have to go with Mulan. And then the last one of this side of the bracket, we have Beauty and the Beast and Nightmare Before Christmas. I honestly have never cared for Nightmare Before Christmas. Maybe I'm just messed up. Maybe it's because I don't like spooky things in general. Granted, the movie's not particularly spooky because it's a Disney movie, but Beauty and the Beast, I feel like, is a lot more iconic. You know, it has, you know, one of these I feel like the first really strong female protagonist like that in Mulan. I don't remember the times, but like Beauty and the Beast had such a good protagonist in Belle. You know, it had a lot of, again, society type of things where like fear mongering and blah, 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 which I feel like is really, really good. So yeah, that's going to close out the first side of this, and let us go into the second side. I might have to, I mean, I feel like once I get done explaining everything, it'll be easier to like the farther sides of bracket. Next up, we have Up and Brave. And again, so the reason I haven't seen some of the Disney movies, or Brave is in this case, is because I normally watch Disney movies with my mother, and Brave came out when I was in college. I don't know why I didn't see Princess and the Frog, as I don't really have an excuse for that. Up was amazing. Up was so good. I'm going to have to go with Up. Up is so good. The emotions, you feel worse in this first 2 minutes or 3 minutes of this movie than you do the rest of an entire Disney movie. Like, it did such a good job. So next up, we have Toy Story and Toy Story 2. I don't think it's really anyone's opinion that Toy Story 2 is better than Toy Story. I really didn't like Toy Story 2. It was by far the weakest of the trilogy, in my opinion, so I'm not even gonna really talk about that. So it's just Toy 1, like, free. Next up, we have Coco and Cars, and I don't care about Cars, but Mexican zombies, I love them. Coco was so good. Coco made me cry. Coco was dude, that movie was so good. The twists and the turns and just everything they did was so good with it, and it was beautiful, and the music was really good. It was so good, and I like things that are centered around music, obviously, because I'm a very musical person. I like singing and things like that. I'm a drummer, blah, 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 blah. Coco is so good. I mean, Cars it's not a contest, but like, Coco is so good. Next, we have Toy Story 3 and The Good Dinosaur, and I have no idea what The Good Dinosaur is, so Toy Story 3 for me, free. Next up, we have Ratatouille and Bug's Life. So honestly, when I was younger, I preferred Ants to A Bug's Life, although I feel like that's the like objectively incorrect choice. But Ratatouille, I absolutely loved, because one, my parents are like really, really big with cooking and things like that. It was kind of like, it hit close to home because my dad and my mom both cook, and I love their cooking, and I'm gonna miss it when I'm in Oklahoma. But you know, Ratatouille was so good. I really, really enjoyed, you know, the plight of the main characters and the stress and the blah, 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 and how food can bring you back to home, because it really, really can. You know, smells and foods can definitely bring you back to home. So I'm going to have to go with Ratatouille, and I'm just gonna do Rat because it's easier. Next up, we have Finding Nemo and Inside Out. So to be honest, I didn't care for Finding Nemo a lot when I was younger. I much preferred Finding Dory, which came out recently, but Inside Out I also really enjoyed, or rather I really enjoyed it. I did not enjoy Nemo that much, but I also haven't rewatched Nemo more than like twice or something like that. So it's just, I'm gonna have to go with Inside Out just because of like my personal, obviously it's like my personal preference because it's the, you know, ESAM opinions. But I'm gonna have to go with Inside Out. So I'm just gonna put it as In and Out, which is funny. Well, that's Cars 2. I didn't even realize it's Cars 2. Yeah, so Cars still is gonna lose to Monsters, Inc. So it's a similar thing. Cars suck. And by that, I mean, I just don't care for them that much. And next up, we have The Incredibles and Wally. So I feel like objectively, a lot of people will say The Incredibles, but Wally was, I love Wally. I think it is so good. It is one of the things I'm worried about is like general like waste on the planet. Like I try to be somewhat environmentally conscious, other than like becoming a vegan, but like a lot of things I'll try to like cut down on my emissions and recycle a bunch and do like, you know, try to do everything I can to be environmentally protective. And Wally was really good for that. Also, the story between, like, so much of the story is done without dialogue. You have Eve and Wally, and they have this relationship with laughter and sounds, but no words and no real understanding. Like, you can't communicate like that. I mean, they obviously can with like size and, you know, general voices and things like that, but just it does such a good job of just showing you that you can really become like close to something without necessarily speaking about it. It's just like actions, you know, can really show things, and you can show your affection other than just saying things like I love you and things like that. You can just show it with, you know, your feelings and your face and things like that. So I'm gonna have to go with Wally. I love Wally. So that is going to be the first round, actually. So let us go into the second round because we have a decent amount of time. Again, as I mentioned when I talked about Lilo and Stitch, I wasn't huge about Lilo and Stitch, except it's really fun to imitate Stitch. But like that was about it, especially because I was a weird kid when it came out, so I just kind of did his voice like, yay, it's the Malakisa, or whatever he says. I don't remember 100%. And I love Lion King, so I think Lion King, and now I can actually type them all out. So Lion King, in my opinion, wins there. Tangled and Moana is very, very close. Both of the music is very good. Flynn Rider is amazing, but there's no like real actual, you know, like prince in Moana, because obviously it's about her, and then she has the assistance of Maui. But so this is hard. This is really hard, but you know what's not hard? Putting Hercules over Little Mermaid. So I'm just gonna go do that, because again, Hercules is my favorite. Like, I'm pretty sure that's gonna win, you know, in the whole thing, like for sure. Tangled and Moana, because I love Rapunzel as a princess. She's super good at that. Moana, again, doesn't really have a real princess thing. I don't know. This is tough. Like, I actually just cut that to think about it for a little bit, and I don't know. I feel like this is the hardest eighths round, because I guess, well, yeah, the eighths round, because this is quarters, this is semis, that's finals. This is hard. This is super, super difficult. I'm not 100%. That's hard. Then we have Mulan versus Beauty and the Beast. So again, you have the strong female protagonist versus the smart female protagonist, although obviously like people can be smart, obviously, right? Like, it's not mutually exclusive. Based off of entire society's oppression, based off of general women's, dude, this is hard. This is also a hard one. But if I were to go with my personal enjoyment, I'm going to go with Beauty and the Beast. Because you have things like I feel like the humor is a little bit better in Beauty and the Beast. You have obviously the, you know, the pantry, like the silverware, the cups, the teapot, etc., the candlestick, all those characters did a really, really good job at kind of like cutting in, whereas I feel like the side characters in Mulan didn't do so good of a job, except for obviously Mushu, because Mushu's dope. But I feel like overall the cast in Beauty and the Beast is stronger. But if it was just based off the heroine, I'd probably go with Mulan, but I'm gonna have to go with Beauty and the Beast there. Next we have Up and Toy Story 1. So again, I really, really like Up. It has a lot of emotions. Toy Story 1 obviously has a very special place in my heart because it was when I was like really young. Like, Toy Story was my second to Lion King when I was younger, for sure. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Toy Story. Mostly because like the premise makes like it's a little bit more relatable that like your toys have stuff, as opposed to like, oh, you're flying with balloons. But also this, I don't know, man. The story about his wife, like nothing exactly bad happens in Toy Story. I mean, a little bit, right? Like, they're moving, but like it's not as dire. So, based on my emotions, I'll have to go with Up. But like, I haven't seen a lot of these recently, so it's hard for me to be like completely unbiased, no nostalgia factor. But I'm gonna go with Up, actually. I think Up is actually, this is hard. I don't know, guys, this is hard. This is super difficult. Toy Story, Toy One. Yeah, that's the choice. Next up, we have Coco and Toy Story 3, which Toy Story 3, in my opinion, is the best of the three. I absolutely love Toy Story 3. But Coco, again, Coco was so good. It was a lot more musical, which I give it a lot of points for because Coco was very fun. It was obviously prettier, but that's not exactly fair because it's like a new time where like a lot of the movies got a lot prettier in the past like 4 years when Toy Story 3 was out. Before that, Toy Story 3 came out. Actually, one of the animators that worked on Toy Story 3 went to Clemson, and so there's actually like a little tiger paw in one of like the zoom-ins, which I personally really liked. But if I'm going to have to go with which one I enjoyed more, but Toy Story 3 did such a good job of contextualizing when you're a little kid. Like, I was in the perfect time for like the Toy Story and like line to come out, because Toy Story was when I was a little kid and I had toys, and I was wondering like, oh, what if they do this? And then Toy Story 3, it's like, I'm moving to college, I have to give these away. Except again, I didn't really keep my toys that long. Like, I wasn't really an action figure person, but just in general, like the concept was very like close to me because of the time frame. But if I'm going to have to go with which one, I feel like I could, but Toy Story 3 was also really funny, and the addition of Barbie and Ken was really, really good. So I'm gonna have to go, ooh, this is hard. I'm gonna honestly, God, this is difficult. I really like Coco. Like, I think whichever one wins that gets to at least semifinals, just because I think both of them are stronger than Toy Story Run. Toy Story Run. There's like Toy Boat. What is a tongue twister? It's like, say Toy Boat 5 times fast. Toy Boat, Toy Boat, Toy Boat, Toy. Blah, 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 blah. It's hard. But which one wins? Oh, this is difficult. This is super difficult. I still have to do Tangled and Moana, which I still don't know. Honestly, I really enjoyed Coco. I really, really enjoyed Coco because, like, you know, I feel like the whole thing with the family at the beginning of like them not listening to him, you know, is pretty relatable to a lot of people in esports, not necessarily me because my parents were at least somewhat kind of productive. But it's really, really good in general. You know, the music, obviously, I very much enjoy. The whole Dia de los Muertos thing was very, very cool. Like, the whole concept was just dope as hell. And then, obviously, the twist at the end is very, very good. So I'm going to have to go with Coco. Although Toy Story 3, everyone almost died. Like, that was metal. They almost got incinerated. Like, that's crazy. Anyway, but no, let's go with Ratatouille and Inside Out, not In and Out. So Inside Out was very good. I think it was very, very funny. I think it was very real, where like people can kind of like struggle with a lot of changes, and like people have, you know, I feel like it's a good way to kind of describe some people's moods, or maybe even like somewhat like surface level understanding of mental illness. But Ratatouille pulls his hair, which I no longer have to make him cook. I want people to pull my hair to be able to cook. I think that's dope. Now I'm gonna give it to Inside Out. I feel like a lot of people are gonna be mad at me because they're like, how is Nemo not here? Like, Nemo should have won. But I loved Inside Out. And like, I know that's objectively the incorrect choice, but that's still my preference. Then we have Monsters Inc. and Wally, and again, I love Wally, and Monsters Inc. was good, but I feel like it was just kind of like cute more so than like more of like a emotional heartstring movie, except for like when they're leaving and to say bye and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go with Wally. I think Wally is absolutely fantastic. And now we still have Tangled and Moana, which I don't know. I still don't know. I'm gonna go with. It depends if I'm valuing like romance or the ocean. If the emotions fester just a little bit longer, Moana would have been like a perfect Disney movie, but I still think I'm going to go with Moana. So that's our round 2, so that's not too bad. Let us continue. So again, now we have Lion King versus Moana, and Lion King does the thing I talked about in Moana perfectly. You feel terrible that Mufasa died for a very long time. Obviously, you have Simba kind of like run away, then they meet Timon and Pumbaa, and so it kind of like breaks the negativity there. But either way, like, you feel like that whole scene is like terrible and awful, and like you don't feel like Taka's going to beat Maui and Moana until he just kind of and does the thing where Moana does the dumb thing. But Lion King, that whole scene, you're like, oh crap, the dad's falling. Oh crap, this is scary. Like, this is bad. And then he dies, and you go, oh, and then you feel awful about it. Like, that was a significantly of a more impactful scene. So you know, I feel like the negativity is really, really good in Lion King. Obviously, I prefer the soundtrack in Moana personally, but Lion King overall, in my opinion, is the much stronger movie. Then you have Hercules and Beauty and the Beast, and again, Hercules to me is winning this bracket probably. Although I'm gonna have to think of like the semifinals, but I think Hercules is better than Beauty and the Beast. Hercules is busted. Hercules is so good, so I'm gonna go with Hercules. Then next up we have Toy Story 1. I can't speak when it's Toy Story versus Coco. And as I said, I think Toy Story 3 is better than Toy Story 1. And Coco beat Toy Story 3, so I'm gonna go with Coco, to be honest. Like, Coco was really, again, I really like that movie. I think it was amazingly well done. I think just the music was really good. It was beautiful. Like, everything was good about that movie. There was nothing really wrong with it. So I'm gonna put Coco over there. And I think that's the part that people are gonna be the most mad at me for, is like this side of the bracket, or like the Finding Nemo kind of losing in first round. But now we have Inside Out versus Wall-E. And again, I think Wall-E did a much better job at, again, portraying problems, portraying you know, huge like world things, and also the story was absolutely adorable. I feel like Inside Out did like a pretty good job at a bunch of things, especially like tampering with the core memories. I think that was very, very smart how they had like the fusing like the happy and sad memories that you do later in the movie. But I think Wall-E in general, like I feel like that like Inside Out does a very, very good job at portraying those type of things, but I just enjoyed Wall-E more. So now we have our top four. We have Lion King, Hercules, Coco, and Wall-E. So I'm gonna go with the right one first. Coco versus Wall-E. So again, Coco, that movie's amazing. Wall-E, also amazing. They're both incredibly watchable, like on a day-to-day basis. However, like I feel like one of the biggest problems with a lot of movies, or a lot of like the rewatchability of a bunch of movies, is the twists and turns in the movie. Like the first time you watch Frozen, you're like, holy shit, Hans is evil, right? But then the second time you watch it, or I guess the second time you're like watching the movie like, argh. But then the third time you watch the movie, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, he's bad, and I understand this. So I feel like movies that have twists in them are better the first time, but then kind of get slightly worse as you go on. Wall-E doesn't really have a twist. I mean, I guess it does with, you know, the autopilot being evil type of thing, but I feel like that's less impactful of a twist than, you know, the whole point of this movie is to meet the, what's his face? I don't remember his name. The guy who's like the most famous musician ever, and then bam, it switches, and then it goes to his friend and blah, blah, blah. Like that's, again, that's a very big twist, but I feel like Wall-E's is less important overall to the plot. Like it's important obviously because that's like the whole final thing, but in Coco I feel like there was a huge like more importance of it because he needed his family's blessing to go back. So I feel like in rewatching it multiple times, I would have to say that Wall-E is actually superior in terms of that, because I've actually seen Wall-E like 6 or 7 times. I've seen Coco twice or 3 times, but obviously it just came out like this year, so it's not exactly fair to do that, but still. And on the left side, we have Lion King and Hercules. That's hard, because these are literally my 1 and 2 Disney movie. So like, sorry, Wall-E, you're not winning. But Lion King, again, you have the negative emotion of his father dying. You have the build-up. You have the kingdom is messed up when Scar is running it. You have the happy beginning. You have the reuniting of the childhood friends / love. Like this, I'm pretty sure Lion King's an anime. But in Hercules, you have obviously the god becomes mortal. You know, his being rejected, he had to build up with one of the best training montages of all time with Phil. Then you have the love, the fallout, the betrayal, the re-loving because she sacrifices himself, so she dies, and you have to worry about the fact that she died, and then he goes to the underworld, and obviously Hades is like the best. Like Hades is a way better villain than Scar, in my opinion. The music in Hercules, in my opinion, is better, and so I'm going to have to give it to Hercules to advance into the finals versus Wall-E, where it is going to win. Hercules is the victor. Sorry I'm like sniffling so much. I don't really know why. I guess like I have a runny nose. I guess I'm getting sick maybe a little bit. So that is going to be my bracket. We are going to have Hercules in first, Wall-E in second, Lion King and Coco tied for third and fourth. And then it gets pretty messy. Again, this bracket I feel like would be a lot different had the seating been more fair in my opinion. Like I feel like Aladdin and Hercules round 1 is really stupid. I think Frozen and Moana round 1 is very stupid, whereas you have something like Toy Story 3 and The Good Dinosaur. Well, granted, Toy Story 3 is very good, but I still don't know what The Good Dinosaur is. You know, you had Cars 2, which shouldn't even been on this list, probably. Or is that Cars 3? I don't actually know. I don't care. Cars is mediocre. Yeah, that's going to be about it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know down below what your brackets are, what you're mad at me about besides Finding Nemo, and I will see you all next time. Ooh, boo, bye.